welcome to Business Mornings, another trading month right here in the nation's capital. And here are the stories you'll be looking at, and definitely I hope October was good for you. Hope we have a November to remember in the markets. Now let's get a check on what's playing out with oil. Now we've seen oil prices decline today after OPEC Plus decided to hold off production hikes in the first quarter of next year, which is, rising fears of a supply glut. We've been hearing talks about supply gluts, so far. But most of the other conversations capped gains there with factory data coming out from Asia. WTI crude, $61.42 a barrel. And we're seeing divergent price movement right there with Brent crude and WTI this morning. We see WTI $61.42 a barrel, $65.24. That's for Brent crude. But I believe WTI should be in the green, at this point. The Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries and its allies, known as OPEC Plus, they agreed on Sunday to raise output by 137,000 barrels per day in December, the same as for October and November. So we see that's what's driving sentiment right there in the oil market, and definitely the WTI, that's 0.41% up. All right, Nigeria is setting its sights on higher in the energy race. The federal government has announced an ambitious plan to ramp up crude oil production to 3 million barrels per day and expand natural gas output about 12 billion cubic feet daily by 2030, a bold move aimed at achieving energy self-sufficiency and driving industrial growth. The roadmap was unveiled at the Energy Week 2025 in Abuja, where over 6,000 industry professionals, 250 exhibitors, and 125 speakers, they gathered to chart Nigeria's energy future. Organizers say this year's edition marks a turning point with renewed collaboration between, government and the private sector to unlock the country's full energy potential. Definitely, we're looking forward to what happens after that event. But let's get a check on what played out with Nigeria's stock market. Closed the week on a negative note. That's last week, as the all-share index declined by 0.98% to settle at 154,126 points. Market capitalization 97.829 trillion naira. This was the close. That's the trading week. Definitely last week down. Even though the last trading day on Friday that ended in the green. But let's look at how the market performed for the month of October. It was positive. That's the NGX all-share index for the whole month of October, about 8% rise there. That's for the month-to-date gain. Year-to-date gain, that's sitting at about 50%. Then you see volume activity for last week. 7.47 billion units traded, valued at 145.42 billion naira. And definitely it was earnings season. The earnings just kept on rolling in last week, and definitely we're going to drill down on some of those earnings later on the show. To other matters now, some company news. Jubilee Bros, the reliable power solution provider, says it will sustain its partnership with Perkins to provide Nigeria with clean and green energy. The company reaffirmed this position during its technical seminar, which was used to keep its esteemed partners abreast about recent developments. Look at the diesel and gas power generation, as well as the utilization of renewable energy solutions from Perkins Engine Technologies. Take a listen.
The seminar brought together corporate clients, partners, consultants, and technical experts for presentations on new product innovations, renewable energy solutions, and hybrid power systems geared towards a greener transition. Jubilee Bros reaffirmed its commitment to powering the future in line with the seminar's theme, Powering Nigeria, Diesel, Gas, and Hybrid Versatility for a Sustainable Future.
We at Jubilee Bros continue to evolve. Our mission is not only to provide reliable power, but to build long-term value through technical excellence, strong partnership, and innovative energy solutions.
The seminar also provided a platform for knowledge exchange and collaboration among key industry players. Perkins says its partnership with Jubali Bros remains focused on cleaner, more efficient power solutions that extend engine life.
One of the things that we've been excited to do is work with Jubali Brothers, take one of their gensets, and we ran a test for 1,000 hours to make sure that it optimized the performance of the generator and the engine.
The gathering marked a new milestone as the partners introduced the Perkins 5000 series, signaling the next phase of innovation in power generation.
Present to the market more solutions, updated solutions, in collaboration with Perkins and partners like MWM as well.
Jubali Bros remains optimistic that its strengthened collaboration with Perkins will accelerate the deployment of advanced renewable and hybrid power technologies nationwide.
So now we are beginning to see the improvement that Perkins is doing on their products, most especially the 5000 series that they have introduced, because a lot of industries actually work with those big equipments, that go above the 800 kVA and all that.
Alternative energy from the grid. So I see that as an invention or an inventive product, which is going to be very useful for the market participants.
With the renewed partnership, stakeholders say Nigeria can expect more efficient solutions across gas, hydro-treated vegetable oil (HVO), and conventional fuel-powered systems, positioning the industry towards a more sustainable energy future.
All right, now to our first conversation. As Nigeria continues to push for, economic self-reliance, the federal government's Buy Nigeria policy that aims to boost local industries, create jobs, and reduce the country's dependence on imports. But how well is this policy translating from paper to practice, especially for manufacturers producing right here at home? We're going to drill down on what the manufacturer sentiment is right now, and joining us to examine how this policy has helped so far or not. We have joined us Mr. Innocent Chukwuma, the CEO, Innocent Vehicle Manufacturing Company. Good morning, sir. Happy New Month. Great to have you.
Thank you. Good morning.
So, to begin with, how would you describe, the federal government's Buy Nigeria policy, and what does it mean for local manufacturers like you right now?
Oh, that's wonderful. Federal government introducing Buy Nigeria goods is one of the best things that happened to this country, because we manufacturers, we are competing with other people outside Nigeria. So when Nigerians are buying our own, instead of Nigerians bringing their own in to challenge our own, I believe that is well forward to Nigeria, because when we are using what we produce, we can be able to pay our workers, we can employ more people. So that should be wonderful. It's good. It's a good idea by federal government. So we manufacturers are good people that, and they've seen that they're always thinking good for the manufacturers. So we're happy.
All right. So from your perspective, as a car manufacturer, is the policy being implemented in a way that truly supports, local production?
Yes, the policy have started to implement slowly. Mainly federal government offices are focused on that, implementing it. But I think after some time, other states will join them. But now, mainly federal government are doing it.
And, definitely there's one thing about, having a policy, but how would you describe the demand from retail in Nigeria? Are Nigerians demanding locally, manufactured cars, in your opinion?
Some good Nigerians are so happy that we have opportunities to manufacture here by ourselves. Some Nigerians are so happy about that. When they see us doing the manufacturing, some of them say that they have made their own policy that they will no longer use imported vehicle. They are using Nigeria. Like Soludo. Soludo is using Nigerian vehicle, and they say, the government using my vehicle made in Nigeria. Governor Uchi also saying some of the governors are using made in Nigeria, and they are supporting it. With that, others will follow.
So that means, in your opinion so far, what's the data, saying? Like when it comes to, sales to the Nigerian government and to, citizens in Nigeria, would you say in 2025 sales have gone up?
Well, I believe by 2025, with the new things and the new things that we are introducing, 2025 will be very good for we manufacturers because CNG is coming, and CNG vehicles are so wonderful that it's easy to maintain, and easy cost efficiency is so good. So when people join the CNG, I think they will be happy and the sales will be more.
Right. So what else are you seeing, when it comes to maybe the cost of credits in the country? I know the central bank recently, cut interest rates. Would you say it's getting cheaper for you to get credits in the country?
Manufacturing today, any company that is hoping to get credit from Nigerian banks cannot succeed because what they will do to you can never understand how you can move forward. So we don't have any hope by getting funds from Nigerian banks. We don't have such a good manufacturing. Look around now, most companies that put head, their head have been cut. So it's better instead of doing big, we grow slowly, and we don't need to be committing ourselves with any bank.
Right, and definitely we're hoping the high interest rate environment continues downward. The central bank just cut rates for the first time. I think we're seeing easing. Hopefully at the next meeting and even into 2026, we'll see if the easing continues and banks can also lend to the private sector, cheaper. But we know some consumers still perceive imported goods as superior. How are you addressing quality? That's quality of your products and perception issues. You know how Nigerians love cars that have second-hand value?
Number one is this, that before people think that imported goods is better. But as today, Nigeria have seen that anything you are producing and the grave your name on it, you must do it to be high quality so that your company will remain. If you do something that is not good quality, after some time you will shut down. Nobody will need your own anymore. So many manufacturers have noticed that. That's why we are writing our name on our own, writing fully made in Nigeria, proving to people the quality. So we are doing our own quality to be better than even imported one, according to our country. Because our country, you must make something to be very rugged. If it is not rugged, you cannot sell. People are replacing my vehicle everywhere today. It's because of the quality. If the quality is not good, we have lasted for 18 years. With 18 years, and they're still on the market, shows that people are happy with the quality we are producing. So I'm advising everybody that doing made in Nigeria to do high quality. High quality is better. The difference in price is very small. So even just because of very small amount to reduce your quality, your good goods cannot sell.
For demand for locally manufactured cars in 2026, do you see more demand, coming from Nigeria or even exportation? Are we exporting cars at this point?
Yes, now I'm exporting to other African countries. If I have enough funds, I can take over exporting more to other African countries because normally I export a lot to other African countries according to my capacity. Yes, because you cannot borrow from bank to export. The time I have some export, I try to use Asian Bank. Asian Bank, it looks like they don't have such capacity to do export. So I do it slowly and complete the export.
All right. I'm sure the banks are listening at this point to Mr. Innocent. Definitely, we need the banks to get more friendly with releasing credits to the private sector. That's according to Mr. Innocent Chukwuma. Thank you so much. It was great having you on the show, sir. Today is the CEO, Innocent Vehicle Manufacturing Company. Thank you so much, and I do wish you more success in your business. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, so Nigeria's exit from the grey list has raised expectations for increased investor confidence and foreign direct investment and inflows. And this is because the removal should reduce the difficulty and cost that businesses face to trade internationally, as Nigeria was perceived as a destination with higher risk. The new status is, however, not permanent, as lack of innovation to deal with the new and existing illegal financial transactions could make this victory short-lived. Our business editor, John McQuarrie, explores this. Take a listen.
Nigeria was placed on the Financial Action Task Force, that's the FATF grey list, on February 24, 2023, because, according to the task force, it had strategic deficiencies in its anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism financing framework. Specifically, the body noted that the country needed to improve the implementation of targeted financial sanctions for terrorism financing and proliferation financing. They also had to enhance the capacity of the Financial Intelligence Unit in order to analyze and disseminate financial intelligence efficiently. They are to ensure the effective investigation and prosecution of serious money laundering and terrorism financing cases, and also address supervisory deficiencies in the financial and designated non-financial sectors. About 2 years, 8 months after, the country has been removed from the grey list, but there's the work of staying out of that list.
Invest in technology, data sharing, and data interoperability, which means that we should have fewer silos, that there's one set of data with NFIU, another set of data with road safety, another data with immigrations, and so on. Replicating databases all over the place. We should have one, because that, I believe, is the reason why the Financial Sector Regulatory Coordination Committee is not as effective as it needs to be, because it needs to be supported by a strong data platform where they can do their what-ifs, risk assessments, and so on, and take decisions together.
Staying off the list brings optimism for investment.
For Nigerians as a whole, this is a welcome call to new investment into our economy and boosting of the economy in terms of productivity, because, of course, FDIs will come.
Another round of assessments is expected in about a year from now. Coincidentally, it falls when the election period in Nigeria.
We know that a lot of movement of funds will occur between now and 2027. Funds that will come through crypto, funds that will come out of mining operations, funds that will come out of all sorts of activities, some licit, some illicit, some real good money also being put to illicit use. All of those things will occur.
There's a list that is worse than the grey list. That's the blacklist. Nigeria was at the risk of being placed on that list just before it created the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit. So, with the possibility of increased financial transactions as the next round of elections get close, experts say the need for continuous updates and innovation is imperative. John McQuarrie reporting for Channels Television News.
Thank you, Eni. We're still going to have Eni later on, on the show, but it's still earnings season in Nigeria. But now let's drill down on the latest from the oil and gas industry. We'll look at Orlando PLC, Ardell Holdings, and Corn Oil. Their latest earnings. For Corn Oil earnings, we see revenue was about 60.18 billion naira. Ardell revenue 538.8 billion naira. Orlando revenue there 820.66 billion naira, and cost of sales we see that decline 766.84 billion naira. Joining us to unpack this now, I have Mr. Oji Demezwe, the CEO Flame Consulting, joining me right here in the studio. It's great to have you, sir. Good morning.
Yeah,
morning. It's been a while.
Nice to be here again.
Yeah,
a while.
It's been a while. Welcome, sir.
Well, I actually was away at Kigali.
Yes.
For my work as usual, building capacity around Africa.
A beautiful city.
So I just came back a few days ago, and it's nice to be in your studio again.
It's still a beautiful city.
Oh, always beautiful. Morning, night, afternoon, every time. You're free to move around. No security issues, and a well-run city, I would say.
Fantastic.
And we're looking forward to having a better, more secure Nigeria too,
where
you can move around anywhere, whether it's in Abuja or Lagos or Umuahia or Kaduna, anywhere you can move freely without fear of kidnapping and all kinds of insecurity issues.
And it's interesting you bring that up.
And all of that. So
with how hot the weekend was, with Trump's
let's not go there.
Latest designation,
Yeah, I think that's just
Nigeria.
a way of waking us up, actually. Of course, you saw the news again. 70 people killed. Is it somewhere in Plateau or Benue or somewhere in that whole middle belt?
The middle belt
is going on.
So much pressure
that needs to be opened up and dealt with. Whether the non-state actors are working in collaboration with anybody or not, we don't know. But I believe that America knows some things that we don't know. Remember some time ago, an American was kidnapped in Nigeria. They came in, rescued him, and left again. They have information about Nigeria. So much as, we don't want our sovereignty to be toyed with, we should listen and collaborate with them to see if this wave of terrorism, every other day, new terrorist groups with all kinds of names, Wolu Wolu and all kinds of things are coming up. And we'll hear about it and we do nothing. Recently I read that these guys are planning to use drones to attack. Do we have drone technology in Nigeria? How can we defend ourselves? Apparently they're importing technology from around the world to attack us, here without any defense. So I believe that while my friend Trump will always throw a word out, you struggle with it, I'm not sure he's going to attack. Pentagon is not going to do anything in Nigeria any soon. I believe that. He wants to see our reaction and make us sit up a bit. And in that light, I think I approve that statement he made. Let us come home, work with America, collaborate with them. Hopefully, I hear that our president is going to the U.S. tomorrow.
Right.
I hope they give him audience, and we sit together. Let us collaborate and stop these killings. It's too much. In Nigeria is a place where 100 people are killed in one day, and life
we just
moves
move on
no
like nothing
flag,
happened.
Flying at half mast.
Right.
No presidential seizure of movement. Or government movement generally. Ministers, president continue as if things are.
I guess we need to place more value on Nigerian life.
In the Western world, 2-3 people are killed at once. Look at what happened in UK the other time. During the what's that ceremony again? Israeli event where the church, the synagogue was attacked. The prime minister flew immediately from a meeting he had somewhere else in Europe. Here we have hundreds, tens and hundreds dead, and we move on, fly around as if nothing happened. So this is not the blood of goats. This is the blood of human beings.
Right.
In a serious country, people dying in tens should call for serious inquiry. People are arrested, people resign, and we see things happening. But here, nobody says anything. Now, U.S. has pushed us, and we're now beginning to say, we love religious plurality, everything is okay. Everything is okay with Nigeria, if we must tell ourselves the truth. Let something be done. Look at how there was a scare about coup, and people were immediately sacked and changed. Similar things should happen when people die in 3s, 2s, or more than 10.
We need the same energy.
With the same energy.
Okay,
the same action by the executive.
Looking at, Trump's social media posts, over the weekend, he did say that on Truth Social there.
It's on social, yeah.
So, looking at where we are right now, at our macros, we're seeing inflation, tending downward. We're seeing the Naira. We're enjoying stability, from 2024, maybe June into now, where we have a refinery now.
That's almost meeting our local demand.
Yes, almost meeting local. Exactly.
Right? Despite all the struggles and fights,
and looking at this social media post, how bad is this for business in Nigeria?
Well, like I said, it has caused the scare, diplomatic rallies and so on. I'm sure that if we respond properly, including the president's move to the US tomorrow, and these things begin to get more organized, more discussion and organized way, it will be a positive for Nigeria in the end. Nigeria is a country that's at a very precarious time, so we don't need any more crisis. If you look at our economic indices, they seem to be getting better, particularly on the market trends. Stock market is getting more positive,
right?
Previously to this year, but economic growth is also inching up. We're somewhere around 4% now. Third quarter, I heard we did about 4.2 or 3%, and then inflation is also trending down. These are all factors that will give rise to a more inclusive growth. For now, our growth is not yet very inclusive. Jobs are not being created. Even though the private sector seems to be doing better, services and industries and so on. But we need to also continue, to focus on fiscal spend to drive appropriate, movement to market. For now, we're having a lot of portfolio investment interest in Nigeria. We need to match that with appropriate level of foreign direct investment, which will ensure stronger growth, more inclusive growth, and a more sustainable economic progress.
Yeah, so much to unpack there. That's a conversation for another day.
I'm around now.
At this point, and definitely we've not confirmed President Bola Tinubu is heading anywhere yet.
We just saw in the news.
Yeah, so those are the reports.
Whether he heads or not, let them engage.
Yes,
these days they are calls. Trump can call him, he can call Trump, and have a discussion.
But it'd be nice to get Trump visit Nigeria.
Oh, well,
that'll be fun.
That would have a good handshake with me.
All right, but let's get into some of these earnings now. Let's kick off with Oando, the Q3 earnings 2025. We see revenue 820 billion naira. That's down about 29.2% year on year. Cost of sales down. That's at 766.84 billion. But we see gross profit 53.82 billion. And then profit before tax, that's huge. That rose a lot.
Huge. 201 billion, 164, a whooping 164% growth against last year's 76.3 billion.
Yeah.
And that is driven largely by increased production activity, high production uptime and all of that. And of course, some other more efficient asset management. You saw the recovery of some of their receivables and all of that, showing that the homeboy has taken over a market they understand very well. No more Ajip, any Italian company handing over to Oando. They understand the terrain better. I also understand that security operations around their operational areas are now getting better. So Oando is just a story, an emerging story of excellence, innovation and proper deployment of assets. Huge assets, totaling almost $1 billion that they acquired from Ajip, last year. And of course, their expansion into Angolan exploration and production market. And of course, the Trinidad and Tobago Gorakara refinery bid and all of that. So Oando is an emerging story of a son of the soil becoming an international oil company. So with the figures supporting it, all you can see in the future is a growth in all the top lines. Revenue growth, gross income growth.
Yeah.
That's
and that profit after tax.
Gross profit before tax. And then, of course, if they manage their expenses very well, which I believe they are doing, you have a very strong bottom line.
Right.
164% growth in PBT is not more.
That's profit after tax.
So, I mean, this information that will give investors
210 billion.
Investors hope for the future. When they're doing some bit of capital restructuring, they haven't been able to give investors some cash benefit. They've been giving stock dividend, which some investors who have short-term or myopic view might think is not good for them. But if you're an investor who is willing to wait a bit in the medium to long term, that's a stock. That's a beautiful bride to behold. Looking at the movement, in their financial parameters, even investment in fixed assets is also ramping up, showing that they are trying to strategically reposition their assets to be able to be more productive. Every company is a bundle of assets, and Oando has got these assets, in their lot. The next thing for them to do is to find a way to make these assets more operationally efficient, right from their loading bay to the several kilometers of oil pipeline, gas flow stations. Luckily for me, I also had the privilege of doing my youth service in Egypt, so I know all of these assets. Once they can, even the power plants and so on, there's a whole lot they got in that deal, which was, by the way, the deal of the year in the oil and gas sector in Africa. That's the Egypt acquisition. All right. So what they need to do is to position their governance, their team, training them very well, and then ensuring that they're able to, strive out all the value from these assets. And all you can see in Orlando fundamentals.
Right. And, talking about positivity, there we did see their upstream activity. There was improvement there. But for the downstream, not so much.
Obviously, because the owner of downstream, who has invested strategically there, is taking over. Our own dear Dangote. They recognize that Dangote deserves to dominate that sector, having invested heavily there. So what's happening now is that Dangote is trying, and is almost getting there, to provide the total needs of Nigerians in terms of PMS. And Rwanda being, very visionary, they had seen that happening, so they are no more emphasizing a lot on PMS importation. They are strategically, with this acquisition of Egypt, moving their activities more into the upstream and pre-export activities, which is working for them. There are a lot of other trading activities to do, though, even though the global oil and gas sector is a bit fragile. We don't know what the prices will be doing very soon, while the US and the allies are trying to depress oil price to punish Russia and reduce their capacity to fight Ukraine. We are hoping, too, that just like Gaza happened, even though there is some clouds surrounding Gaza peace deal, but we hope that, as my friend Donald Trump did Gaza, he will also do Ukraine, Russia soon, so that there will be normalcy in that industry, and oil prices will become less volatile and less speculative. For now, it's neither here nor there. A bit trending down, but I know that when the war is resolved, normal prices and the OPEC impact will also resume in the market.
It's quite incredible. We did see oil jump as high as $140 per barrel.
This period. Yeah, sure. Yeah. It is just the Russia impact.
Exactly.
If that is resolved, normal pricing might resume, and that might see Nigeria again having the benefit of selling at beyond benchmark price.
You did mention Trump, trying to keep oil prices down. How much of that
Not just Trump, the whole Euro, NATO, the NATO people, because it looks like while they were, blaming Trump for not taking strong action on Putin, the Europe themselves were the ones, sponsoring the war, buying Russia's oil and all of that. And with Trump's wake-up call, the way he just done Nigeria now, he woke Europe up. They began to now see that they had to finance the equipment for Ukraine to fight. They had to also stop financing Putin by stopping the purchase of his oil, and with all of that, Putin is feeling a bit economically stressed. And I hope with that he will come to the table to negotiate, and hopefully the Ukraine-Russia war might be resolved. We are praying so that my dear Trump can earn his well-deserved prize.
Quite interesting. He wants to keep oil prices down.
Nobel Prize.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is so much desires.
But I hope that's not bad for business for Rwanda if oil prices stay lower.
No, I'm just saying that when this is resolved, it's now that Rwanda is feeling the pinch because of the low trend. It's most likely that if Ukraine is resolved, there's no more deliberate attempt to press down oil price. And then you see Rwanda make more earnings from their upstream activities particularly, and of course their usual global trading and downstream activities will resume. And they're optimistic that they will continue to invest in that area, but with more emphasis
I think they're taking on a lot of debt.
You mean, sure. Yeah. They have taken the debts already. They are just trying to repackage, refinance them. If Nigerian banks can play smart at this point, they should play a part. Not just Afrexim. They are funded heavily by Afrexim Bank and AFDB. And for these African-wide banks to be involved, they are seeing a great future in this, in that business. Nigerian banks need to think a bit more long-term, even though you may not blame them because most of the funds in the Nigerian banking sector are largely short-term. But there are banks that have strong, build-up of long-term capital. They should be able to deploy that in good assets like Rwanda to enable them, repackage their capital, more like capital restructuring. That's also why they are doing, stock dividend and so on to avoid losing cash. They need all the money to ramp up activity with their assets so that by the time these assets begin to produce, both the lenders and investors.
Everybody's happy.
Will be happy in the future.
All right, so I'm looking at Cornell now. We see the revenue, $60.18 billion, down about 12.22%. Aradel, their earnings that's revenue, that's up 43% at $538.8 billion. Pre-tax profit, $300.7 billion. Looking at the results, what is it saying about Nigeria's oil and gas industry?
The oil and gas sector, even though the growth level is still not encouraging, I think it grew by about 1.6% in this last quarter, very well outgrown by services sector, industry, agriculture, and the rest of them. Something needs to be done more to ramp up growth and activities in Nigerian oil and gas sector. Don't forget that the rest of the world has been thinking climate change and all of that, de-emphasizing fossil fuel and so on. But with my friend Donald Trump too,
yeah, your friend.
It looks like more investment.
Drill, baby, drill.
Investment is coming to the drilling industry. So I think Nigeria should position strategically. Other Nigerian companies taking over assets like Oando took Eni, that's an Egypt facility. Shell and other ones, I think things are still being discussed. I don't know where they have got in that supply and all of that. But like Egypt, like Rwanda has done, if we can have our own, Nigerians have served these people for more than 60 years. We have been the chief engineers, we've been in the field, we've been in the creeks, we've been in the deep sea and onshore activities. Let's begin to take over these assets. And we know our area. Shell and Ogoni will not be our own case. We know our people, we know how to develop our people and so on, make them happy and then drill this oil and bring out value out of it. So I think the industry is still at a point where government should provide the right of way to investors to come in, and whether they're domestic investors, as Rwanda has shown, or foreign investors, let's ramp up activity in this sector. By the way, oil remains our major source of foreign exchange, right. And we can't toy with it. Pending when the world goes totally sustainability and all of that, dropping. Let's make use of this now to support our economy, to make it more inclusive. When our economy gets to a point where we use the oil money now to support non-oil export, agriculture, other non-solid minerals and so on, that's the time we can now begin to play the game of climate.
So are you bullish on oil and gas stocks in Nigeria's stock market?
Oh, they are bound to grow in the coming days, I believe. Right. There's prospect of growth, but that growth may not be very huge. It might just go gradual as they invest more. And then, of course, for integrated companies like Aradel and, of course, Oando, having operations in the upstream and downstream and even the midstream and all of that, they may grow much faster than their contemporaries.
All right.
Because activities for now are very exciting in the upstream sector. Once efficiency is achieved and assets are being utilized profitably, like Rwanda is doing it right now.
And our refineries can get all the oil they need.
Oh, yeah, sure. And then Dangote can also have all the supply of crude that he needs, and then provide our PMS need, and then, very importantly, remove or drop that over 40% or 30% consumption of our dollar in importation.
Right.
That's a very important, and then you see the economy now, and then the economic growth can now match activities in the in our market.
I dream of lower PMS prices too.
Oh yeah, sure. That will happen eventually when
as low as maybe 400 per liter.
Oh no.
Or 300.
You're a bit too optimistic.
Thank you so much. Great having this conversation with you. Dr. Oji Udemezue is the CEO of Flame Consulting. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
My pleasure.
Thank you, sir.
My pleasure.
All right. Yeah. We'll take a break now. When we come back, more on Business Morning. Just stay with us. All right, the role of financial record keepers in a digital economy took center stage over the weekend as the Institute of Capital Market Registrars, they held their 14th annual conference in presidential investiture in Lagos. The event, brought together key regulators and industry leaders to discuss how to leverage technology to build investor confidence and unlock global value. Take a listen.
We have conferences like this.
The Oriental Hotel in Victoria Island was a convergence point for Nigeria's capital market elite as the Institute of Capital Market Registrars held its 14th annual conference.
The theme of this year's conference is Unlocking Global Value, the evolving role of capital market registrars in trust, efficiency, and innovation. The theme is designed to spotlight the evolution of registrars from traditional record keepers to strategic partners shaping the future of global markets. It emphasizes registrars' expanding role in building confidence, fostering innovation, and deepening investor engagement, ultimately positioning them as architects of resilience, transparency, and sustainable growth. Thank you, sir.
Keynote speaker, Mr. Alake Olakunle of Dangote Industries, emphasized that trust and transparency are the backbone of any thriving capital market.
I challenge every registrar here today to see themselves not only as record keepers, but as architects of Nigeria's future capital market. Together, let us unlock the global value that lies within our reach.
The conference also featured high-level discussants, including the Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission, Dr. Memotimi Agama, represented by Mr. Ajomale.
Change is coming. Times are changing significantly. Indeed, there was a prediction that this industry has been taken over by blockchain and by other technology that's coming through. But there's still a lot for us to do, and there's still a lot for registrars and roles for registrars to play. I would encourage you, on behalf of the DG and on behalf of all regulators, to explore those areas.
And the role of registrars as a backbone of the capital market is highlighted by Dr. Toyin Sani.
Registrars act as trusted record keepers between issuers, investors, and regulators, maintaining not just shareholder registers, but processing corporate actions, managing transfers and mandates. Now, their role underpins the transparency and investor confidence in the financial ecosystem. So if anything goes wrong with their records and we cannot trust their records, entirely everything collapses.
A key highlight of the event was the investiture of the President-elect, Dr. Mrs. Catherine Nwosu, the Chief Executive Officer of Africa Prudential PLC. She was sworn in as the fourth President and Chairman of the ICMR Council by the outgoing President.
I stand before you today, deeply honored and humbled. The Council members of ICMR, thank you so much for all your support. I feel honored and humbled to accept this responsibility of serving as the President and Chairman of Council of this great institute, the Institute of Capital Market Registrars, ICMR.
The challenge laid bare by the ICMR is clear. The future of the Nigerian capital market hinges on its ability to embrace innovation, ensure transparency, and simplify processes for both domestic and international investors.
All right, let's drill down on what played out in Nigeria's capital market in other segments. At this point, and joining us now, we have Bankole Odusoyin as a chief dealer, Polaris Bank, joining me right here in studios. Great to have you, sir. Good morning.
Good morning, laddie.
Yeah, so, easing cycle. That has started in Nigeria with the MPC, cutting interest rates by 50 basis points and tweaking, the CRR. How is that, reflected in yields, so far in the month of October? What did you see? Any interesting moves there?
Okay,
especially
so
in the fixed income market.
The fixed income market had priced that in before we saw the last cut in September. We have another MPC meeting coming in on 25th of November, and we expect another cut because if you check, inflation has been on the decline for 5 months, but of particular concern to the MPC was the food inflation and core inflation. So we've seen 3 months of decline. And there's been a push for rate reduction generally to help reduce cost of production in Nigeria because of lending availability, that's liquidity in the credit market, and the pricing of credit. Loans were at higher than 30%, and now that rates are dropping, we're beginning to see some ease to that. So central bank on one hand is tightening to manage inflation, but on the other hand, they have to keep a fine balance to ensure that credit is available and credit is affordable. So we expect that to continue, and we expect another cut on the 25th.
And at the same time, we don't want to stoke inflation.
Oh no, we don't
going forward. How nervous did you get seeing that post by President Donald Trump, about Nigeria?
Yeah,
and no aid. The threat of no aid coming to Nigeria. You get nervous there?
Yeah, we're not one of the highest recipients of aid ordinarily, but that's bad news. I mean, it calls for because this week we expect Nigerian government to offer Eurobonds, about $2.3 billion. Ordinarily, yields were expected to decline compared to what we issued last year because the macros are better, the financials are better. We're finding some positive grounds off the reforms that we have done. So, but this news coming in a day before the issue, could spook a bit of the market and probably make some investors just pull back. But we expect that the government will step in quickly to address security because it's a real issue. And then we need to start doing better on perception management, not just locally. Internationally, we need ambassadors that will engage and let the world know the truth. Yes, there are challenges. We're calling for help. We need tech, we need intelligence, and we need support. But perception management is very, very key, beyond boots on the ground, locally.
Right, and talking about the perception, management. How much of that is a factor for your currency, for the naira? How much is it bullish or bearish for the naira, in your opinion?
The naira, we've had a bull run on the naira. A lot of diaspora remittances who used to hold back and just sell a little bit are selling quickly because we have seen the naira drop from 1660 this same year to 1420 as at Friday, and there's a possibility we're going to break another psychological level of 14 in the next 6 weeks. It's a possibility if we manage the current situation well, but there's supply. The market is free. We've had a digitized market where the B-match system kicked off last year, December, and we're seeing trading. Without seeing the counterparties, you just put your demand, your offer, and your bid and demand, and then deals are settled automatically. So we're seeing that being expanded. The central bank is also looking to do that for fixed income market, where settlement and clearing will now move away from FMDQ to the central bank also to have an oversight of FPIs that are in, the local investors, what is likely to mature next year, pre-election year, and how to prepare and plan for that. So it's a very liquid market. Perception management as to how it has affected FX, supply is there, there's no more middleman, issues because we have a better digitized market, basically.
All right, so hopefully we'll have a bullish November for the naira.
Oh, yes.
Even with what we're seeing over the weekend.
Continue, because if you look at the external reserves, since April, we have seen $5 billion growth since April. And if we look at another 6 months, if we had another $5 billion, we're inching closer to 50 billion mark. It's been a while since we've got there.
$50 billion
oh, yes.
for our foreign reserves.
And that shows,
that'll be great to see.
That shows real movement.
And talking about dollars, thank you so much for coming on, Mr. Bankole Oduson, chief dealer at Polaris Bank. Talking about dollars right now, let's get a check on what's playing out in the scene, that's the economic scene globally. That's in a moment. Stay with us. All right, let's see who's going to be bringing in dollars for us at this point. And I'm talking about John Mekwa. She's the one with the dollars.
Yeah, well, I heard you, Mr. Bankole. Good morning, Mr. Bankole. Talking about the dollars. But Trump is not happy with Nigeria now. Trump controls the dollars. So you guys have to be careful.
We have to be very careful.
Very, very
Perception
careful.
management, as he said.
Yes. And that's most likely will affect. I mean, just when we are celebrating the exit from grey list, you saw the report that I did earlier.
Right.
And wanted to relax and FDIs
and now were
this
coming. And over the weekend.
Unfortunately, Mr. Bankole, you guys have to do something about all of this. All right, now, so let's see what's happening in the global scene. We're starting from Switzerland. Inflation unexpectedly slowed to near zero, adding pressure on the central bank to push back against the strength of it. Okay, so first of all, let's start with the expectations. I think my producer would prefer that. Expectations for the week. It's going to be a busy week, a lot of data. So for Monday, U.S. durable goods orders expected today. Australia household spending month on month is what is expected. In Indonesia, the manufacturing PMI is expected. Also, Indonesia's core inflation rate, that's expected today. Also, on Tuesday, from the United States, consumer confidence data, South Korea inflation rate, that should also be out today. We can have for other days of the week For Wednesday, U.S. Fed Chair Jerome Powell is holding a press conference, and we know that everybody listens to not just the words, but the one he didn't say. Reading in between the lines, that's for Wednesday. Japan interest rate is expected also. I think it's expected to hold on Wednesday. On Thursday, initial job claims. They have 2 coming out this week from the United States. That's a job claim. Italy retail sales month-on-month comparison is what is expected on Thursday, and on Friday, South Africa foreign exchange reserves, and then Turkey interest rates, as well as United States non-farm payrolls. That's expected on Friday. And this is just a bit of what's expected this week. A whole lot more will be out. So it's a busy data week for global economy. And talking about that, we start already with what we had, which is inflation in Switzerland, unexpectedly slow to near zero, adding pressure on the central bank to push back against the strength of its currency and boost price growth. Consumer prices rose 0.1% in October from a year ago. That's from Switzerland. And then in Spain, manufacturing sector expanded at a faster pace in October than in the previous month, with both production and new orders rising, although new export orders declined for the second month. This according to a survey by S&P Global. That's coming from Spain. And then in Poland, manufacturing sector also shows signs of recovery in October. This is also data coming from S&P Global. So I think that's much we can take. Laddie,
right?
You owe me some time.
I owe you time.
All right.
Thank you so much,
yeah,
for giving us the details there of what's playing out in the global space. All right, that's it. We're back again at 1:30 p.m. for Business Incorporated. It's another trading month right here and in the global space, and hopefully, I hope it's profitable for you. I'm Laddie Williams. Bye for now.